Hello everyone, and welcome back to more mysterious recipes with me and her.
Bonjour!
Bonjour.
So today we are going to be doing a recipe that's been requested by a couple different people, including myself, which is the Quenelles from Nancy Drew Danger and Danger by Design. So this was requested by someone on the comments of our
Last video?
Our June coffee.
Our June, that's right.
Several different reasons, including food, good food, one of our favorite games. We say that about so many different games, but
this is not my favorite game. I love this game, but it is not in my top 5.
If it's not in my top 5, then it's at least in my top 7. So one thing that we did notice from going through a bunch of different recipes is Quenelles is more to do with the shape, but as far as dinners and not desserts go, it's generally like a flour-based dumpling, although the ingredients vary. Some of them have meat, some of them are just meat, some of them are just flour. The seasonings differ. There are as many different ways to make these for a dinner as there are personal preferences by the looks of things. So there's not really any set right or wrong ingredient list as long as you get the shape and the texture and assembly right. As was specified by ordering the Quenelles and Danger by Design, these are specifically chicken dumplings, not just straight flour. So we are doing a combination flour and chicken dumpling. Again, there's a few different ways depending on the different recipes on how to prep your dough, but for this one in particular, we're going to be combining butter and milk on the stove with a little bit of salt, heating that until it comes to steaming, and that's going to be what we start creating our dough into. We're going to get our burner heated to about medium heat or so. This stove runs a little low. For you, anywhere between medium low to medium heat. We don't want to scorch our milk, but we do need to melt our butter and heat it to a steam. We're going to be putting 1 cup of milk, I believe. One cup of milk. 1 stick or 8 tablespoons of butter. You will want to definitely add a little bit of salt, probably about 1/2 teaspoon. We want to flavor these dumplings a little bit more than just flour, butter, and chicken. And we want to add a little bit of herb, a little bit of other flavor. We've got a box of white mushrooms. We're using white specifically so these dumplings stay fairly light colored when they're done. And that's what, an 8-ounce box?
Yes.
We're gonna mince up about half of that box really fine to work into the dumplings, and then we're gonna save the other half of those mushrooms to flavor the sauce. I was reading up on some of the recipes this week, some of the different Quenelle recipes. There was one that I was looking at that was really speaking to me. They were basically doing like a homemade tomato soup sauce over the dumplings with some shredded cheese before they finished cooking them in the oven, and it sounded so good. Basically like flour dumplings, homemade tomato soup, shredded cheese, a little parsley if you wanted, some cream.
I feel about that.
I feel very positively.
It's like a grilled cheese but with dumplings.
Dumplings instead of bread. Just so that they don't try to stick, we're going to add about 1 tablespoon of butter. Put these on the stove over about medium, maybe not even a full tablespoon of butter, just a tiny bit. We're trying to go ahead and wilt down these mushrooms a bit and cook out some of the water in them so that that doesn't cook out into the dumplings and throw off the texture once we get going. We can also go ahead and mince up some parsley to go in the dumplings to give it a little more flavor. Probably about 1/4 cup altogether. our milk is steaming and our mushrooms have let out most of their water, we're going to set those mushrooms aside so they can cool down a little. And we're going to add some flour to that milk mixture to start creating our dough for the dumplings. How much flour again?
1 cup.
Once we add the flour, we're going to continue cooking that milk mixture with the flour for several minutes. But we're going to make sure we stir it pretty much constantly so we don't get any burning or sticking. Our dough has gone for several minutes. We're going to take that off the heat. Let it cool down a little bit before mixing our other things.
Good, like a pasta water.
Well, how much do we want to salt it? Because there's already some salt in the dough.
Or just cooking it in this. I don't know. We'll just leave it like that.
Okay, so we're going to heat a good sized pot with water, bring that to a boil. Basically, we're going to shape our dumplings and then poach it in the boiling water for several minutes so that they will hold their shape when we finish cooking them in the sauce in the oven. We don't want them to fall apart and just turn into a mush, because who wants mush? Not me.
My goodness.
We're gonna start working in our eggs, but we don't want the eggs to cook at this state. So if you have a mixer, that makes your life easier, especially if you have a stand mixer where you can put it in there and it'll continue beating it while you mix the eggs. And there are 2 of us, so one of us can stir while the other adds the eggs one at a time, and we'll kind of achieve a slower version of the same thing. We are doing 4 eggs all together, one at a time, so that we don't accidentally cook the egg while it's being stirred in, and we're going to want to stir about as fast as we can so we get the eggs mixed in before they try to set. It was a surprisingly good workout. It's a very stiff dough. We're going to start adding the stuff to flavor this now. We've got our basic dumpling dough when we want to incorporate. So we're going to do, let's go ahead and put in that parsley that we minced. It's about a 1/4 cup altogether that's been minced. And we'll add those mushrooms that we
We're done with the cutting board?
wilted down. Leave it for now. We might need it when we prep the green beans. And then we're going to put about a 1/2 pound of ground chicken. Let us start shaping and poaching our dumplings. So this is going to take some trial and error for us to learn how to get the shapes right. If you go online, there's a couple different, there's a bunch of different videos to show you different ways to shape them. Some of them you use 1 spoon, some of them you use 2.
She's gonna try both methods, and
a lot of them do recommend having like a bowl or a cup of water by the stove that you can rinse the spoon in each time so it doesn't build up dough and make it stick. So we do have that, and we're just gonna kind of practice them until we can get the shape right. They're gonna go in the boiling water and cook for about 3 minutes each, and then we're gonna take them out and just put them in a pan to drain until we're ready to finish them.
While we've got these dumplings boiling, we're going to go ahead and preheat the oven to 395, which is a very strange.
Well, it can be 400.
Temperature. I'm going to assume it was Celsius transferred to
It
Fahrenheit.
was, so you can just do 400 if you'd rather.
Alright, so while she's doing that, I'm just going to chop up more mushrooms. You've already seen me chop mushrooms.
These we're going to slice rather than mince because when you see the final quenelles on the plate, there's no really visible sauce on them, but we want them to have some flavor. So we're going to leave the mushrooms big enough that they can be cooked together for flavor, but make sure that we have them all off the plate for serving. We've got our tray of poached dumplings. I'm gonna set these aside. For the cream sauce, we have more people here than when we started cooking, so we might want to double the sauce.
Makes a lot of sauce.
It's just gonna be a simple cream sauce, so it's light colored. If you look at the recipe, at the picture of the final plate from the game, it definitely isn't like a tomato sauce or anything that these are in. So we're just doing a basic cream-based sauce.
Is that 6 tablespoons of butter?
Yeah, that's probably about. We're gonna do about 6 tablespoons of butter melted in the pan. We're gonna need half a cup of flour.
Okay.
And y'all have seen us make a roux before for some of our other recipes. This is the same thing we're doing here.
A lighter roux than the one we made before.
Well, yeah, but same general concept.
The one we made for the gumbo was a dark roux.
No, we're keeping this light colored so that we can match up the look as much as possible. We're gonna cook our flour for just another minute to take a little more of that raw flavor out. Just give it 2 or 3 minutes after you put it in with the butter before you add your liquids. 1/3 of a cup of chicken broth, and then 1/3 of a cup of heavy cream so that it still stays nice and thick and creamy. We're ending up with about a cup of each chicken broth and a cup of cream, but we're also making a bigger batch than you'll want because unless you're making this for a group of people, because we're cooking for some other people.
We'll put the correct ratios.
Yeah, we're gonna
in the
include the
Alright,
ingredients.
I'm gonna add a splash of
let's do about 3 tablespoons.
how do you say this?
So that is white wine. You might need a little bit of salt in your sauce, but if you're using a white cooking wine from like the regular cooking section of the store, don't add any salt without taste testing because that tends to have a lot of salt added as is. Ready? We're also going to add our mushrooms. We're just going to cook this for a couple minutes to wilt down those mushrooms just a smidge, but they're going to cook some more in the oven, so we're not too worried about cooking the mushrooms much right now. We're just going to do a very light coat of cooking spray so that we don't have to worry about this sticking, and we're going to line up all of our dumplings nice and pretty in that pan.
Well, I don't know about nice and pretty, but we're gonna line them up. I feel like some onion, like some, what are the little onions, some shallots in this would have been yummy.
Yeah, but I was trying to keep it to not as much to have to pick out because there's no visible sauce on the plate, but they've clearly been baked because they've got the sear lines on them. So
that
they
would
were
be
cooked with
sauteed
something.
in the pan then.
Probably not. Well, these, every recipe I was looking at, they're finished in the oven.
Yeah.
This is almost the perfect amount for the size pan.
Just pile them up, really. I think you can do it.
I don't want them to stick together.
I don't like them stick.
But I also don't want to I don't want to get another pan. Alright.
There we are.
Lovely.
Go ahead and dump the sauce on.
Yeah. Let's get a spoon to do that. So that's just, it'll be distributed over top. Now again, if we weren't going for trying to make these look as much like possible as the ones in the game, there are so many different sauces that you can do to go with this. You can do tomato based, you can do cream based. It's up to you. So feel free to get creative with the sauces if you're not going for complete plate matching at the end.
Alright, let's pop these in the oven.
About 400 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. We'll check on them in 15 minutes, but they're probably gonna need more like 20. Now we just need to cook some green beans to finish our plating. For that, we just have a bag of some long uncut green beans. These are already trimmed, but if you get some that aren't trimmed, just go ahead. Yep, that's nice.
Lovely.
It saves time. But if not, then go ahead and trim off the ends. And we're just gonna saute these a bit in a pan to get them ready. And we're gonna keep that pretty simple.
What? You said some
Do we still have some butter left, or is the butter gone?
No more thawed out.
Okay.
Olive oil, white wine.
Yeah, let's do some olive oil since we're out of butter.
Put a splash of olive oil and white wine in the pan, please.
We've got that pan heating to medium, a little over medium heat, so we can get these nice and lightly blistered. This is where, again, if you are using some cooking grade white wine, like the bottle that you get on the regular shelf, not in the wine section, That'll have a nice salt level for the green beans. If not, you'll probably want to add a little pinch of salt to it.
Hello! So our dumplings cooked for more like 22 minutes.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure they were cooked fully through, so we cooked them until they started bubbling. They are still kind of soft. They don't have much color. You could broil, low broil for the last minute or two, as long as you keep a really close eye to get a little color on them. And then, as you'll see from the overhead, we also added just a splash of chicken broth to our green beans. Once they started to blister, covered those and cooked them for another 4 minutes so that they would finish cooking through without getting too dark. We want them bright and green to get the perfect look.
So let's give these
Everything is ready. And yes, let's see how everything works together. Fingers crossed. Get dumpling first. They're very soft. Texturally, they'll probably be good. They're definitely not going to be chewy. But they're very hot. I should probably start off with a smaller one. Salt.
They're good, but they need some salt.
Yeah, the dumplings themselves, we didn't really add any salt to because we weren't sure how salty and all the broth would be. Thank you. Also, as an option, I did bring a lemon. You can add a bit of lemon zest and fresh juice on there to really give it more of a fresh flavor if you want.
I mean, it's up to you.
I'm gonna put a little lemon on one of mine to see how it works. I think it'll be good.
The salt is definitely needed. It makes the flavors come out a little bit more.
Yeah, it definitely needed a little more salt with our broth that we used and all. Do you want any lemon? Okay.
It's not the best zester in the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's zesting really good. It's just collecting on the bottom. Slice a little wedge off for juice. So, let's see how that compares. I also think I want just a hint more salt.
Lemon's too strong for this light flavor.
Okay.
I can't really taste the dumpling with the lemon on it.
Yeah, it does drown it out a little bit. A little lemon, maybe, but not much. Go very light if you do lemon. I would like more chicken in them, honestly.
Yeah. We could have done the full pound probably.
I think so. It definitely would have made a lot more than we needed, which we ended up with a full pan anyway, for the amount that we did.
I mean, it's actually a super mild taste. It mainly tastes like butter.
I taste the mushrooms more than I taste the chicken, to be honest. It'd also be a lot firmer if you did more chicken.
It's delicious, but it's very light.
Alright, so thoughts, what would you keep the same, what would you change?
I mean, this is good, honestly. It needed more salt and maybe add a little more chicken. That's probably it.
They're very soft dumpling, very tender. And like we were saying, based on what we were reading, the different recipes we were looking at, you can flavor these or do the fillings or the sauces as many different ways as you want. This is a very soft set dumpling. I would definitely do more chicken. So I would like to try these again, making them with the full pound of chicken. I do like the lemon in there, but it did drown it out, so maybe just the barest hint of lemon for finishing on mine. Definitely a little more salt, excuse me. That would be pretty much exactly where I want these.
Same.
And the green beans are fairly neutral flavor, but they're good. Any idea what our next food video is going to be?
It's probably going to be whenever we do the live, which is going to be fish of some kind.
Trout.
Roasted, like with nuts.
It was trout, I think it was.
Yeah.
Any of you who try this, let us know down below if you do it exactly the same way, if you change any of the ingredients, if you do just a different type of dumpling, not chicken. You could do these with different kinds of meat. You can do them with fish, which honestly I'm kind of intrigued by. Do them with different herbs. Cheese, no cheese. So if you were going to Cafe QQ, is this going to be the first thing you would order off the menu?
I don't remember all what's on the menu, but sure.
It's good. I like it. But yes, more salt for sure.
We're going to say more salt like 10 times.
Yes, because it did not have enough. Without the salt, it's just kind of like flour.
Alright. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Mystery time.
There's a mystery.
I got the hiccups now.
Can you hold?
I'm so focused that it gave me the hiccups.
Pick me up.
No. I just said I'm too hot and now you want my body heat.
Okay, I can't do that. Oh, I almost died. My life flashed before my eyes.
Gracious.